Stay tuned for the Splash Live. It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, bringing you all of the biggest news and stories from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. After starting off the season 5-0, the West Bloomfield Lakers are looking to bounce back after suffering their second consecutive loss of the season to the Clarkston Wolves, officially granting them the OAA Red Division title. With just 2 games to go in the regular season, the Lakers are looking to get back into a groove if they want to make a statement in the playoffs. Tyler Keefe from our team swung by West Bloomfield High School to speak with head coach Zach Hilbers on what the Lakers need to do to get back on top of this season.
But that final score doesn't tell the whole story. It was a close game right up until the early portions of the fourth quarter where Clarkston really stepped on the gas and was able to finish strong. Let's go through the first 36 minutes or so of that ball game. They get out to a quick score, but then your team was able to answer back, take them punch for punch, and stay in the game. What was the key early on as their offense was firing? The Bowman brothers with Zhenko were having a game from the jump to keep yourself competitive and limit how they were able to execute.
Yeah, it was a really close game. You're right, and it was into the fourth quarter. And I think a lot of that had to do with I told our offensive coordinator Ken Rise is probably my favorite drive of the entire season. That second quarter where, they had done some things well. They were up 7-0, and we went on a 9.5, 10-minute drive to tie it right before halftime. And in a lot of ways, really could have controlled the game after that point, getting the ball in the second half. But we kind of gave up a field goal at the half, which got them a little bit of momentum going into the locker room. And it was really close until it kind of unraveled for us the last few minutes.
Take us through those last few minutes, because the only things you could maybe see changed immediately from the viewer's point of view would maybe be the rain came in the factor. And Clarkston made a couple of big plays later on. It gave them a rush of momentum late in that game, but it was still 17-10. It was not exactly a lopsided game at that point. What changed that turned the momentum in favor of Clarkston so severely that they could then run away with the final score?
I give them some credit. They made some big plays. They went for a 4th and 1 deep in their own territory with a 7-point lead. I didn't think they were going to snap the ball. I thought they were just going to try to hard count us, and they picked it up where, we get a stop there, and it's our ball at the 25-yard line down 7. You feel pretty good about crawling back into the game. And then after that score, we tried to get back into it with a screen pass that we liked the design of and just threw it right to a D lineman. It was pretty, unfortunate. It was tough because when the snowball started rolling, I don't think we responded quick enough in kind of stopping their momentum, which is probably the only frustrating thing about the game is, we had chances, it was a close game, and we just let it slip from us a little bit quicker than I thought we should have.
And it's one of those things, too, where you're 7 games into the season. For the most part, you've been firing on every cylinder all throughout the year, and you haven't met that point where a team catches that kind of momentum and you sort of had that skid. So now that you've been able to weather that, what's the focus in terms of turning that into a learning experience as you go into the final 2 weeks of the season, and then presumably you're going to go up against one of the top teams in the state, either in round 1 or in the district finals?
Yeah, you can't avoid good teams in Division I playoffs. You're going to play them. So I guess, if to answer the question, the lesson you can learn is, if this happens in 3 weeks, your season's over. and we can be right there with a really good team with a chance to win it. But, if you don't make the winning plays when it's time to win, yeah, your season's going to be over in 3 weeks. So hopefully we can kind of take the positives from it, and learn from some of the other things too.
One of the positives of that game was that you were still able to compete with a really tough defense. They have a lot of veteran players on that defense coming back. And talking to Coach Pinter before last week's game, not only were there starters coming back as veterans, but they had reserves that were depth players even last year and the year before that. Those are typically the kind of teams that give a younger offense in particular, but even a younger defense in some respects, a lot of trouble. How are you able to hold your own for so much of that game, even despite the veteran versus the youth matchup on Friday night last week?
Well, I think our run game's been pretty physical all year, and I got to give those guys credit. They really were again. With Jeremiah up front and Travis were awesome, and Obi and Will, and everybody ran the ball really, really hard. That might be off by a little bit, but for the most part, the other 3 games in the OAA Red against Orion, Adams, and Oxford, those 3 teams combined for 170 yards rushing against Clarkston, and we were at about 140 ourselves. So pretty much the same production on the ground. So they've been shutting people down, running the ball all year, and we thought we had some really good sustained drives, but you have to be able to do that over 4 quarters against a team like that, and unfortunately we didn't.
Yeah, they're a really solid team at all 3 levels defensively. They don't allow a lot of big chunk plays. You were still able to make those passes to Willie, a touchdown pass to Joel Davis on just a short route that typically doesn't happen that far in the red zone. His second receiving touchdown, first since week number 1, and then some of those breakout runs that Obi had, a 4th down and a 3rd down conversion that were really at key points for Will Espy. It teaches you a lot about what your team's made of as you go into presumably some even tougher matchups going forward, and especially when the season becomes super competitive. So all of that being said, how does a game like that, where through 36 minutes you got a lot to be cheerful for, boost the confidence and show the abilities of a team like West Bloomfield as we enter the terminal stage of the season?
Well, I think part of it is too us learning throughout the year what type of team we are, and what we do best to put us at our peak on both sides of the football. And that's probably leaning a little bit more towards ball control. If we can run the ball like that against that quality of a team, that might need to be a little bit more of our identity, because that'll keep their offense off the field and give us a chance in the 4th quarter in a close game where anything can happen.
West Bloomfield 38-10 loss last week against Clarkston. 2 losses in a row, 1 against Oxford, 1 against Clarkston to end the OAA Red Division schedule. They go into the blue this week, a crossover game with Bloomfield Hills. CivicCenterTV.com/LakerSports for all the information you need on where you can see that game on Friday night before they come back and play against Roseville in the final week of the regular season. So you take the loss against Clarkston. Really tough loss, a different kind of tough loss than you had the week before in the final minute against Oxford. But you combine all of that, I'd imagine there's a different motivation coming off of 2 consecutive really tough losses in different ways to finish out the regular season strong and sort of rebuild that momentum for a playoff time. Leadership becomes a key factor in that. How are the leaders on your team taking a driver's seat, even as immediately as after that game on Friday night, to get things back on track as you focus on Friday?
Yeah, I got to give them credit. They took control of the team right after the game and kind of set the tone and the message that we're going to finish this year strong, because we know what kind of team we have. And if we do our job and go on a little bit of a run here over the next month, you'll remember this game, but it won't be what you're remembered for. And that's really what we want, is to be remembered for making a run at this thing. And how we handle the next couple of weeks will really show that.
It's happened before. Clarkston beat West Bloomfield in the regular season in 2023. They had a rematch in the playoffs. Similar demographic in terms of the maps. Could be something you see in 2025 if all the cards fall in the right way. West Bloomfield victorious in that playoff game 2 years ago, sent them off onto the semifinal. Coach, any lasting thoughts from Clarkston, overall things to improve or lessons learned from those 48 minutes that you're going to take into this week and the final weeks of the season?
No, it's just the same as any other game, really. You just want to focus on, the things you did well, give the kids credit for it, and pat them on the back, and then also put a little bit more of a spotlight on the difference, the plays that really, cost us the game there in the 4th quarter. So we're just going to use it to try to get better next week.
I got faith in this Lakers team, and they are ready to play to win. The Lakers are taking on Bloomfield Hills this week. Stay up to date with all of the updates on civiccentertv.com/LakersSports. We'll see if the Lakers can take home those last 2 wins and make a true statement in the playoffs. Who doesn't love a good barbecue? So many things can be accomplished when you're at the grill, and one West Bloomfield resident has taken his love of barbecue to soaring new levels. Michigan Barbecue Addicts is a passion-driven channel dedicated to showcasing the art, creativity, and community behind great barbecue. And not only that, but his Roll for Barbecue series puts a creative twist on cooking, blending tabletop gaming with culinary experimentation, amassing him almost 600,000 followers and 15 million likes on TikTok. Joining us now to tell us more is the founder of Michigan Barbecue Addicts, the pit master himself, Walter Johnston. Walter, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to see you at the barbecue.
Absolutely. I'm really excited for this because I am a fan of your channel. I've been watching it for quite a while, and it is incredible to see what you've been able to accomplish at the barbecue. So I got to start from the beginning. How did your passion for barbecue first take shape?
Well, honestly, it all started when I was a kid. I watched my dad grill when I was a kid, and it was love my dad to death, but you know he did his best. Let's just say it that way. But he cooked for all of us. If one of us wanted burgers, one of us wanted brats, stuff like that, he would do his best with it. Then, long story short, a nasty divorce happened, and the barbecue stopped. And then I was a firefighter prior to this. Been retired for about almost 11 years now. And one of my old firefighting buddies said, "Hey, let's go get something to eat." And so we tried some brisket, and I'm like, This is really good. I'm like, okay, let's see what we can work with this. The minute I tried that, I wanted to get my own smoker. I found the cheapest one I could find on Amazon, and I started doing stuff, you know. A lot of successes, tons of failures, but, you know, we're perfecting the art every single day.
That's right.
Now my dad watches me barbecue, and it's pretty funny now.
I'd imagine so, but hey, practice makes perfect. And as I was saying, you've taken this love of barbecue to a great new level. What inspired you to start Michigan Barbecue Addicts?
So honestly, we were making a good recipe online. I was taking photos of it. I found some of those Facebook groups like Meet Church Congregation, stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I'm really proud of this. And I wanted to post my picture and see what people thought, you know, because everybody wants to get that validation online. And let's just say this, no barbecue jokes intended, but I got roasted really, really bad. People were telling me like really, really mean things, super judgmental, not even in like engaging. And I got really upset. I took that personally. And then my wife, she looked at me and she's like, look, take this down. Let's think about this, you know, and she really changed my perspective. And we turned this into how can we make a cooking channel that is formed on judgment-free cooking? And that's how the Michigan Barbecue Addicts was developed. We are founded on judgment-free cooking for anybody that wants to learn. I'm not a pro by any means. I'm just a fat guy that knows how to cook in the backyard. That's the biggest thing. And that's how we got started. People love the judgment-free factor, and we've been doing pretty good ever since.
I mean, you seem to be very, very skilled. I mean, we're showing some of your videos on the screen right now. If you're watching on Civic Center TV, you certainly know what you're doing. And it's great that you're showcasing all of these skills to so many other people. Now, I want to talk about your Roll for Barbecue series. It's such a creative concept. Talk about what it is and how did that idea to mix dice rolls and cooking challenges, how did that come about?
So I'll start off by saying this. I'm a nerd. Right. I have no shame in my game. I will say that all the live long day. And honestly, I was scrolling on TikTok one day and I found Roll for Sandwich, Adventures in Artie. And I was like, that's an interesting concept. You know, roll the dice and you can make a sandwich just based on pure chance. Then I scrolled again. I see somebody does Roll for Pizza. And then I saw Roll for Sushi. And I'm like, we could probably do this with barbecue. So I bought myself a cheap dice tower on Amazon, 2 sets of dice, and I decided, I was like, you know, let's see if we can put a barbecue spin on it. We did. The first episode, I got, again, roasted again. People were like, that's a ripoff, you're doing this all wrong. And then we did it on our own the second time, and everybody absolutely loved it. Ironically, it was right around the time I lost my job at the time, and of course, I'm depressed. I was like, what am I going to do? So we ended up like pushing all of our attention on that, and that's how we grew big on TikTok. Like we did a couple sponsored channels, stuff like that, and it just blew up from there.
That's right. And as you're saying, all of these other great channels have served as inspiration. I should mention Roll for Sandwich, also a Michigan native. So all the good ideas are coming from this state. I just want to point that out. But obviously, when it comes to using these dice, obviously, I'm assuming some of the results are probably better than others. What would you say have been some of your favorite or maybe your most unexpected results so far from the dice rolls? Like one of your best, one of your worst?
So I can tell you my most recent, honestly. So
Sure.
one of the most recent ones that I can tell you was one of the best ones I had recently. Previously, it was a burn-end baked potato. It was a burn-end twice baked potato with like a blueberry barbecue sauce. Really great. But recently, we discovered pumpkin spice turkey breast, which I'm basic. Trust me, I'm very basic when it comes to, fall and stuff like that. So it worked out really good. I mean, it was the flavor dynamics behind the pumpkin spice and the turkey just really, it was so comforting. It was just hit you right in the heart. It was so good. Now, some of the bad stuff, I will say, is the stuff that I've had to drink. Like we did. So Roll for Barbecue around Halloween, my wife and I, it's no surprise here, but we are big spooky people around Halloween. And we have a character on our channel called Mayhem, and he adds either a really great flair to your meal or something that's super cursed and is going to possibly ruin it, right? So one of the ones that we had last year, I was making chicken wings. And he had us blend our chicken wings into apple cider with Worcestershire sauce. And we had to drink it. And commitment to the bit, yes, I drank the whole thing. Did it stay in my system? No, it did not.
I give you props for that, for committing to the bit. I mean, I don't think I would ever want to drink my chicken wings, but so my hat is off to you, sir. And I also want to point out, it is nice that even when maybe the dice rolls don't always go the way that you want it to go, you always offer a little bit of help at the end to say, how can you fix it?
You did it right. We want to be able to fix our meals here because, I mean, honestly, the stuff that I'm making, it's either going to be really good, really bad, or just in between. We want to take it to that next level. So if you want to recreate this at home, you can. I mean, if you're crazy enough to recreate some of the stuff we do at home, go for it. So we want to make it better for you so you can give yourself a different idea of how you want to cook.
There's definitely ones I've got in mind to maybe try myself. Just need to up my cooking skills just a little bit. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with the founder of Michigan Barbecue Addicts, West Bloomfield resident Walter Johnston, who has amassed an incredible following on TikTok with almost 600,000 followers, all learning his barbecue magic. Now, I do want to highlight something because you always highlight Michigan barbecue. How does Michigan's local barbecue scene influence your cooking style and the type of content that you create?
Honestly, I mean, I get this question a lot. We get people say, well, Texas barbecue, it's all about salt and pepper, and Kansas City has this, and Memphis has this. Michigan barbecue, to me, is, look, we have cookouts. We like going and closing down an entire block, and everybody gets together, and we just have a good old-fashioned cookout. That's Michigan barbecue right there. Now, how we've incorporated the Michigan twist onto everything, we got our classics. We got Faygo. We have our Vernors. We have our Conies, We have different things that really make Michigan pop, Kogels. All of those big brands, how can we incorporate those into our barbecue really adds that Michigan flair. Plus, we like to keep things humble here. We want to make sure that everybody's welcome at our barbecue. As long as there's no hate, no nothing like that, everybody's welcome here.
That's absolutely right. Now, having achieved a lot of this success on TikTok, almost 600,000 followers, what would you say are maybe some of your long-term goals for the channel? And do you maybe see it expanding beyond social media in the future?
So, yeah, we actually had plans to do that before I lost my job the first time. We were going to get a food truck, get everything nice and rocking and rolling, and then, life happens, and you take your lemons and you make lemonade with it. So we had a 5-year plan that turned into a 10-year plan. Ideally, we'd love to get back on it, but I mean,
Looks like we might be having some slight audio issues with Walter. We're going to get those straightened out in just a quick second and get back to this. But as I was saying, Walter Johnston, a West Bloomfield resident who has amassed an incredible following on TikTok with Michigan barbecue addicts. I believe we have him back. We're just going to continue with that question of... Oh, okay, we're not quite ready with him yet. We're going to take a quick break and jump back in with him right after this. Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Bringing you stories and memories from Sylvan Lake, Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4.
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Jake Sheff. We are back with Walter Johnston, a West Bloomfield resident who has amassed an incredible following on social media with his Roll for Barbecue series. Walter, I'm going to pick up right where we left off with the last question of what are your plans in the future, possibly expanding beyond social media?
So ultimately, my biggest goal, I mean, I would love to have first I got to get myself a truck and a pole behind smoker. And I want to be able to, drive anywhere I can and make barbecue, do catered events, stuff like that. That's the idea. We want to be able to spread the Michigan barbecue love across the board. For people who haven't heard of us or haven't been on TikTok, you're not on TikTok, that's fine. We like to try to grow ourselves on social media. So by the time we get to the point where we can, have the funding to do a food truck or something like that, people already know who we are. People already know what our game is and then how we're going to operate.
Well, I can't wait to see it, and I assure you, I will be first in line. I've seen all of your cooking. I want to try it for myself. Now, Walter, a couple more questions before we wrap things up. Where can people go to find you on social media, on TikTok, on all the other places to catch your content in person?
Absolutely. So we operate on a multitude of different social media platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Those are our main four. But I mean, we're starting to grow everywhere else. We're trying to get onto, Lemonade, Blue Sky, stuff like that. But if you want to find us mainly, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. If you want to catch us, if you don't remember that, no problem. Go to MichiganBBQAddicts.com. That takes us right to our store where you can get some amazing merch like Never Trust a Skinny Chef, any of our hats, stuff like that. But there's also a link in there. You can check us out, and that'll take us right to all of our social media links.
Michigan BBQ Addicts, that's where you can find all the magic. All right, Walter, last question before we wrap things up, and I think this might be the most important question of all. It's a little tricky. Out of all of the pieces of barbecue you could possibly make, pork, chicken, ribs, brisket, what's your favorite?
Hands down, it's got to be Snake River Farms Black Grade Wagyu brisket.
Wow.
We got one sent to us a couple years ago, and I'm still drooling over it right now. Like you mentioned Snake River Farms Black Grade Wagyu brisket, and I need to do some housekeeping here, but it was the most tender, juicy, beefy, delicious. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. It just melted in your mouth. You were like, where'd the food go? It's so good.
I might need to try that for myself. Once again, Michigan Barbecue Addicts all across social media to catch barbecue tips and Roll for Barbecue. Can't wait to see what's to come. Walter, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Thank you, Jake. I appreciate y'all. And of course, we'll see you guys at the next barbecue.
Can't wait to be there, and I cannot wait to see what is to come. Once again, Michigan BBQ Addicts on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, anywhere you could possibly find it, that is where to go to catch all of the barbecue secrets from Walter. If you're looking to find a fun, furry friend to join your family, now is the perfect time to do so. As October is National Adopt a Shelter Dog Month, and Oakland County has countless resources available to help these dogs find their forever homes throughout the community. Joni Toole, the chief of the Oakland County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center, recently spoke with Tyler Kieft on the Splash Live to tell us how we can help.
Joni, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having us. I'm actually coming to you from Kitty City. Let's not leave the kitties out of this.
Yeah, definitely. All the traditional pets that we see in our homes are in a similar position to our dogs in the month of October and all throughout the year, looking for loving homes to hopefully be for the remainder of their lives. And that's the key part of this, is not only do we want these pets to get adopted, we want them to go into homes where they're going to be for the remainder of their lives and be in loving and comfortable situations. So as we try to get these dogs and cats and other animals adopted, what sort of homes are the best situations for these animals to get adopted into?
Well, I always say do your research. You got to find the pet that is right for your lifestyle. If you're a couch potato, then you definitely don't want to get like a husky or a terrier. Those are high energy dogs. So you'd want something more maybe like a French bulldog or something to that effect. But you got to really do your research. And I know a lot of us go off of looks, but it's best for you and best for the animal if you do your research and find out what's going to fit into your lifestyle. And of course, cats are a good opportunity as well because they are low maintenance. You can be a couch potato all you want. They'll sit right there with you.
And let's unpack that a little further, doing your research. We hear that often when we talk to animal adoption organizations, whether it's your adoption center and the animal shelter through Oakland County or other nonprofit organizations in the local area. What should that research consist of?
Well, first, you probably want to go by your looks. I know everybody loves, I'll do the Huskies again, because they're gorgeous dogs. They're beautiful dogs. But if you're not an active person or if you're not home a lot, what's going to happen is that dog is going to try to find ways to get out their energy, whether it's chewing on your bed or chewing on your couch or trying to escape and running down the road. So your best place to start is the internet. Maybe pick a breed that looks pleasing to you, and then do a little deep dive on that and see what their personality is. See what it takes for them to have a happy, healthy life. Little terriers, the same thing. They require a lot of energy. They need their brain to be working, and if you're not going to give that to them, then what's going to come out of that is chewed up things, and you're feeling frustrated and they're feeling frustrated. And so we don't want to get to that point. We want to make sure that we match up the best pet for you and your family.
And so as people are doing that research, often, Joni, as you mentioned, they're thinking about all the reasons to consider this breed of dog versus that breed, or whether a dog or a cat or another animal is the right fit for my home. But they should also be considering what could be some of the negatives of bringing an animal into their home that could ultimately bring them to a point where they adopt an animal now, and a few months, a few years later, they're ending up abandoning those animals back to your shelter or another one. So let's break it a little bit into the common reasons why we see these animals then go back into the process to be rehomed later on, and how that should also factor in to that research for potential adoptees.
Well, adopting a pet should never be an impulse. It's something that you really need to think about. And a lot of people, they fall in love with this cute little fuzzy little furry thing, and then they get it home and it goes to the bathroom on the floor, and then you start to get frustrated because you're trying to potty train it. It's not going very well. And then pretty soon when they get a little bit older and they have, they're kind of like teenagers. They're going to talk back to you. They're going to, sometimes we see that coming out in aggressive behavior. So people aren't putting in the time or effort to train their pets. And that's an important part of it. These pets want, especially dogs, not cats, but dogs, they want a job to do. They want to please you. They need to have that stimulation. And if you're not going to give that to them, like I said, it's going to come out in negative ways. So you'll really want to take a look at that. And another thing you want to take a look at as well is, plan your pet into your future. If something should happen to you, where would that pet go? You need to make those arrangements before that kind of thing happens. We see that a lot. It's very, very sad. The owner passes away and then we get a dog because no one in the family can take it and take care of it. And it's so sad. But you really need to start to think about stuff like that. It's not just, let's go get this cute little fuzzy little thing and play with it. But you got to remember that it's a living, breathing thing, and it needs to be taken care of whether you're there or not.
Joni Toole is with us from the Oakland County Animal Shelter and Pet Adoption Center. October is National Adopt a Shelter Dog Month, and they are helping to bring those efforts forward to bring dogs in our local area into loving forever homes in Greater West Bloomfield and beyond. A few places you can go for more information. oakgov.com, the Oakland County main website. You scroll over their community tab. On the right side, you'll see a section for pet adoption. All the details you need on cats found, dogs found, the Animal Control Center, the Pet Adoption Center also. We can go through dogs and cats and some of the considerations and resources that you'll need to make this very important decision for you and these animals. You can also find them on social media. Instagram at oak_PAC and on Facebook at oakgov.op. Joni, we want to make the process easy for people when they have gone through all those considerations and now they want to bring one of these dogs, one of these cats or other animals from the Oakland County Animal Shelter into their home. How does the animal shelter make this process easier for those looking to adopt?
Well, we want to match the perfect pet up to your family. So if you are a family, bring your family. The animals should meet everyone and see how they react. If you have young kids and you're going to introduce a big, clumsy dog, you might want to think twice about that. Not that the dog is going to intentionally hurt young children, but because they're big and clumsy, they might knock a child over. So we like to have the whole family come in and meet the animal and see if it's going to fit within their needs. Now, a lot of our pets, we don't have a lot of background on. They're mostly stray, but we try to gather as much information when they're here at the shelter to fit them to the perfect home. Sometimes we don't always get it right, and sometimes animals act differently in a shelter situation than they do in a home situation. And the other thing is, when you do bring your pet home, you want to make sure that you are very consistent within the first month or two. That goes for potty training, feeding times. Everything is well coordinated. Just like a child, they like consistency. They get used to that. So that's a very important thing to do there. And then training. They need training. They need to know that you're looking out for them and that you know what's best for them. So a lot of training should go into a new pet as well.
And one of the concerns upon adopting a pet is making sure that not only they're a good fit for your home, but they're coming in healthy as well. How does the Oakland County Animal Shelter and Pet Adoption Center help to ensure that these animals that are perhaps having a history of being strays, being abandoned either by their natural pet parents or their previous owners, are coming into their hopefully forever homes fully healthy and ready to join those families?
Well, we we have a full vet staff here and a full clinic facility here. The pet that you adopt from us is going to be up to date on their vaccinations. They're going to be up to date on their parasite control, which is fleas and worms and ticks and those things. And then they're also going to be spayed and neutered before they leave the shelter. So we're giving you a great start of a healthy pet. But again, like I said, we don't know a lot of the background of the animals. We can try and figure out medically everything that's going on underneath the surface, but sometimes it's hard to flesh that out in the shelter situation. So you'll want to follow up with a vet as soon as possible, but everything is done before the pet leaves the shelter with you, and you just want to follow up and keep following up with your veterinarian.
Always a good idea. Joni Toole is with us from the Oakland County Animal Shelter and Pet Adoption Center. October is National Adopt a Shelter Dog Month, and they are participating over at the Oakland County Animal Shelter. You can participate as well. Consider bringing some of these animals into your home and creating loving environments for them to live out the remainder of their lives. But Joni, some people don't have the right situation at home to be bringing these animals into. Maybe they live in apartments that don't allow dogs or only allow a certain number of pets. They have cats and they love dogs, but they can't have both of them at the same time because it puts them over the limit. Maybe someone in the family is allergic and they can't have them in the home. There are other ways that they can still get involved with the Oakland County Animal Shelter. How can they do that?
Oh, definitely. If you're an animal lover, volunteering at the shelter, we always need volunteers, either to walk the dogs or to come even sit in Kitty City here like I'm doing today. A lot of people will just come in here and read a book. You never know what that human interaction does for that animal. And we also have a lot of enrichment that even if you don't want to touch the animals, you can help us put together enrichment packets like peanut butter and Kongs and those types of things that we give out to the animals here to keep them happy and healthy. So there's lots of ways that you can definitely help the shelter. You can also, if you've got old linens at home, you can donate those. If you want to take it even further and go to our wish list, our Amazon wish list, and donate from there. And then we also do take in monetary donations. And those donations are used to help the animals here at the shelter if they're ill or they're injured. And we just cannot do that surgery or that procedure here at the shelter. We will send them out to local vets, and we use that money to help those animals so they can get better and we can find them a new loving home.
And Joni, lastly, if people have heard all this, they've maybe have already been making some considerations, and now they want to go forward and start the adoption process, where can they do that? What are those first steps they can take to get in contact with your team and consider some of the animals in the Oakland County Pet Adoption Center?
Well, they can certainly come down to the shelter anytime that we're open. That's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're open late on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're open till 7 p.m. And then we're open on Saturdays from 10 until 4. So, come down, check us out, see what we have here as far as pets. And if you don't find the perfect pet the first time, don't get discouraged because they are always coming through our doors. Our inventory changes daily. So don't just settle on something that you found because you want that pet. Go ahead, take your time. Like I said, our inventory is always changing.
Kittens like Roscoe, dogs like Bow Wowzer, and so many more at the Oakland County Animal Shelter and Pet Adoption Center are looking for homes right now. oakgov.com. Scroll over their community section on the right side. You'll see pet adoption to learn even more information and start that process. Joni, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Happy to see all of these resources helping the dogs and the other furry friends of our community. Hope to be seeing a lot of dogs find their forever homes all throughout the month of October and beyond. So we really appreciate Joni for taking the time to talk with us here on The Splash Live. October is also National Bullying Prevention Month, and this weekend, True Martial Arts in West Bloomfield is putting together an event to help empower children with essential tools to handle bullying confidently and calmly by participating in hands-on, age-appropriate scenarios that teach assertiveness and de-escalation. Matthew Sikora, the owner of True Martial Arts West Bloomfield, joined us on The Splash recently to tell us more. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, Jake. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Of course, and this is a very important topic. Bullying, unfortunately, something that I'm sure every school deals with, what every kid, I'm sure, either witnesses or deals with at some point, and it's important that this information is out there. So what inspired True Martial Arts to create the Bully Buster event?
Well, we find ourselves as martial arts instructors and as school owners on the front lines of this battle of bullying, because many times what happens is parents and families, when their kids are going through something like that, they're really not quite sure where to turn. So oftentimes they're looking for something to boost their child's confidence, to equip them with skills. God forbid they were ever had to defend themselves physically. And a lot of times school guidance counselors, principals, teachers will kind of refer children that are going through these experiences to us. So, as a byproduct of the whole situation, martial arts instructors have become really warriors on the front lines of this battle.
That's absolutely right. And it's great that you guys are doing your part to help educate these kids. And you said parents express a lot of concerns about bullying. What would you say are maybe the most common concerns that parents have about bullying, and how does this event address them?
We see a lot of parents come in whose children are going through a hard time at school or outside of school in whatever group that they're in. And oftentimes parents, with their best intentions will, it's not till these things are happening that they turn to try to find solutions for them. So that's the unfortunate truth of the situation, is that, many schools are doing their very best to try to equip children with tools within the school, to try to create a culture within their school of anti-bullying. But unfortunately, a lot of times parents aren't turning to find solutions until their children are already going through a hard time. So what we want to try to do is reach out to the community in shows like this and through these events that we're putting on, to try to encourage families and parents to focus on prevention. Like an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So we want to help, prevent these situations from happening.
That's right. And you guys are providing a lot of great resources at this event. As I said, age-appropriate scenarios that teach assertiveness and de-escalation. How are the activities tailored to be age-appropriate yet effective in teaching self-defense and conflict resolution?
So bullying studies on bullying show that it really is most prevalent in grades 5, 6, 7. That's really where we're seeing a rise in that. That's where those 5th, 6th, and 7th graders are turning to us for help. So in terms of it being age appropriate at events like we put on, and this goes on in our regular traditional programs year round as well, they're broken off into groups and discussing topics that are more relevant to their age group, right? Where, maybe cyberbullying isn't relevant to a 3rd and 4th grader, but it is for a 7th or 8th or 9th grader. So we try to do our best to make sure that we're bringing topics to them that are relevant for their age group.
That's important, and that's really, really good that you're tailoring these classes and these topics to these kids. That's great to see. Now, martial arts can provide a lot of things for these kids. Obviously, it can provide physical fitness and exercise, but it can also provide emotional resilience and confidence in these kids. How would you say these classes help to showcase those resources?
That's a great question. And, we want to equip children with the skills to be able to defend themselves. We want to equip children with the skills to stand up for themselves and it's through confidence that happens. And it's not the type of confidence, not that there's anything wrong with this, but it's not the type of confidence that you get from scoring a goal, playing soccer or a touchdown, playing football. That's really great. But what we want to prepare them with the type of confidence that they can carry with them at all times, that they can defend themselves. And the type of confidence, like, oh, I've been through this before. I've role played this situation many times before, and I know exactly what to say here. So I feel like that confidence comes from experience. It comes from, through achievement, through something like martial arts training. So more than anything else, it's really providing that unshakable brand of confidence that martial arts can provide for kids.
I love it, and I can't wait to see what these kids are going to be taking away from this class. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Matthew Sikora, the owner and chief instructor for True Martial Arts in West Bloomfield, talking about the Bully Buster event that's going to be taking place on Saturday, October 18th, to help kids combat bullying safely. Now, you guys have held, I'm sure you guys have held events like this in the past, especially events to help kids and help them gain this confidence and these physical skills. What kinds of transformations do you typically see in children who attend True Martial Arts and events like this?
It's incomparable. I mean, to anything else, right? Like the type of transformation that we see in children that kind of grow up in a martial arts school is really quite incredible. There's all of the major challenges that kids are going through these days. There's not a single one of them that it's not addressed by martial arts. Bullying being one of them, obesity, just physical fitness, confidence, building discipline, all of the things and skills that coaches want their players to have on the field, that teachers want their students to have in the classroom. There's not a single one of them that's not addressed by a martial arts program run properly. Right. So that's designed to help build their confidence. So we see transformations in kids that, everything from just a new level of physical fitness that provides them confidence, or taking kids that maybe don't innately have that, that unshakable self-confidence and slowly building them up over time. And that's the thing about martial arts is there's no season of martial arts. It's not like they do it for 6 weeks and at the end of the 6 weeks we send into the world with a new level of confidence. Something that these types of skills and of attributes that we're talking about are something that it's slowly built over time. Right. So if going back to that prevention piece, getting involved with a program like that early, whether it be our program or somebody else's, is so important. I can't think of a single thing that would be more important. Having children myself, just knowing that they're going to go out to school each day, out in the world each day, being willing to stand up for themselves, having confidence in who they are, being willing to stick up and be a leader for other children around them. I mean, what could be more important than that?
Absolutely. You said it best. And I'm so happy you just mentioned the fact that you are a parent yourself, Matthew. You have kids. I'm curious, what role do parents play in reinforcing the lessons that are being taught during events like these?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? And I feel like it's on us as parents to prepare our children, right? And like we as parents in the modern day have so many responsibilities and life moves so fast that it's I think a lot of times parents when they come to us and their children are experiencing bullying, they're kind of flabbergasted that the school allows this to happen or that the school didn't step in earlier. And in some cases that's true, right? But we as parents have to take full responsibility for our kids and help prepare them for these situations. There's no, schools are doing so many things these days, and being able to be everywhere all the time is impossible. So we have to take it upon ourselves as parents to teach our children these skills, or find the people who can and then reinforce that. Talk to our kids, right? I know my kids get uncomfortable with it, but I role play with them. Hey, what would you do in this situation? Or what would you say if someone said something like this to you? And unfortunately, there's no one conversation that's going to prepare them for everything. It has to be something that's reinforced each and every day. Finding things for them that turn them to confident individuals that are willing to, look somebody in the eye, mean what they say, be assertive, teach them about, making eye contact with someone, how to properly introduce themselves to someone, because all of these things are prevention measures that need to be put in place for kids to feel safe when they're interacting with their classmates. So parents have all of the responsibility, and unfortunately are not necessarily equipped themselves for how to teach this. So finding people in the community that are is really, really important.
That is absolutely right. And as I've been saying, it's great that you are providing those resources for all of these kids in Greater West Bloomfield. Matthew, I got one more question before we wrap things up.
Sure.
Where can people go to learn a little bit more information about the Bully Buster event and maybe about some future events that True Martial Arts has in store in the future?
Yeah, thank you. So if you go to our website, bloomfieldmartialarts.com, it'll give you all of the avenues to get in touch with us. This community event that we're putting on October 18th is a free community event. It is it's going to be a service to the community that we put out there. We want to get this education out there. We want to provide an avenue for families that feel like they need that ongoing training. But more than anything else, just get that education piece out there. So reach out to us on our Facebook page. You can find out more information about the event. Feel free to reach out to us by visiting our website, bloomfieldmartialarts.com, and we're happy to give you any guidance that we can in trying to point you in the right direction to find the right type of training for your child.
Absolutely. Can't wait to see what's to come. Matthew, thank you for today here on the Splash Live.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Again, the event is taking place on October 18th at True Martial Arts in West Bloomfield. We appreciate Matthew for taking the time to talk with us here on the Splash Live. Halloween is approaching very, very soon in Greater West Bloomfield, and Kego Harbor is already prepping for the festivities. Or should I say, Kego Harbor. That's right. It's the second annual Kego Harbor event, and it's got all the fun festivities to make the Halloween season bright, with a pumpkin giveaway, a trick-or-treat trail, and even the spooky, scary, haunted tunnel. There's something for everybody to enjoy. Julie O'Brien, the Kego Harbor Parks and Rec Commissioner, recently came on the Splash Live to give us some insight on the many frights in store. Julie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
Of course.
You did a great summary right there.
Thank you. I mean, Kego Harbor is already back in play. I mean, it had such a fun run last year. What inspired Kego Harbor to bring back Kego Harbor for its second year?
It was a very easy choice. For a first-time event, the attendance was incredible. We had so many people come out, and so many of our local businesses came and participated, and the feedback we received afterwards was, "You're doing this next year, right?" We couldn't say no.
Of course, especially when it is in such high demand. Now, I would imagine that going into this next year, the event is going to be bigger and better. How has the event changed since its debut last year?
Well, it's really up to the local businesses. This is a very volunteer-based event, and so depending on how the businesses want to put their best foot forward for this event is really going to shape it. Last year, our fantastic local business, Billy's Automotive, even brought a petting zoo with it had all kinds of farm animals and then a creepy crawly portion with there was a tarantula. And so, we can't promise that that's going to happen again, but seeing how the businesses want to participate, that's really how it's going to shape and grow.
You're absolutely right, and especially with things like that, like the creepy crawlies and the petting zoo, I can imagine that would bring a lot of people's attention. I might have to stay away from the tarantula, just going to be honest, but everything else sounds like a blast. What can families expect from this year's activities, and are there any new additions that you're really excited about?
we're really just keeping pace with last year. We're going to try and bring the same level of excitement that we brought last year. We will have the live music from Ultraviolet, and the library, the West Bloomfield Library, is participating, and they're bringing an event or an activity for kids to either do there or bring home. We will have the pumpkin decorating station and our trick-or-treat trail.
That's right. There's something there for everybody, including the haunted tunnel, which sounds like an absolute highlight. What level of spookiness can visitors expect from this? Just so they know what they're getting into.
This is a great first haunted house experience. We had babies last year getting to go through their first haunted activity. So it's absolutely safe for all ages.
That is good to know. That way we're not having kids walking out of the haunted tunnel just terrified with tears coming down their face. We don't want to see that. We want everybody to have a great time. For those just joining us,
we want smiles. We don't want tears.
Absolutely. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Julie O'Brien, Keego Harbor Parks and Recreation Commissioner, talking about the Keego Harbor celebration that's happening in just a few short weeks. Now, Julie, what kind of community involvement or local business support helps make events like Keego Harbor possible?
Well, the businesses are really the driving force for this event. We have excluded the businesses in a lot of our block party events. We've kept it more towards local artists and bands and food trucks, but this event lets us bring our businesses in to the park and participate and have that one-on-one interaction with our residents.
And that's great. They can interact with the residents up close and build those ever important community bonds, which are always great to see no matter where you are. And it's not only that, but these kind of events are also important, wouldn't you say, for maybe building some community spirit in Keego Harbor, especially around a time like this, especially as we are getting much closer to Halloween?
Oh, I think so. I mean, Halloween on its own is fantastic, and I think everybody's very excited it's on a Friday this year. But having another daytime activity that brings the kids out, lets the neighbors all hang out and play and do a little trick-or-treating at the park prior to Halloween, I think it's just a great opportunity for everybody to come out and have fun and interact.
That's right. And you were talking a little bit earlier about how a lot of the fun things, a lot of the things you're mentioning are tailored to some of the younger residents of the community. How do you ensure that this event remains accessible and enjoyable for all ages?
Well, this event is geared more towards little ones. And as this event builds up momentum over the years, our goal is to start including more activities for everybody of every age. But this one is definitely geared more towards littles.
Sure, of course. And of course, it's not just events like this. I mean, I'm sure that throughout all the fall season, there's going to be so much more from Keego Harbor Parks and Recreation. Can you give us some insight of maybe some other seasonal events that might be coming up throughout Keego Harbor, if you can disclose some?
So we have our disc golf course, which is thriving in this weather particularly. We have, starting in November, we will start putting up the lights for our Winter Wonderland, which is also held at Rose Sorter Park. And so that one is more the winter event, but we light it up and leave it lit for the month of December for the most part.
Can't wait to see it. I mean, we are getting much, much closer to Christmas, to that holiday season. It'll be here before you know it. Julie, I got one more question before we wrap things up. Looking ahead, how do you see Keego Harbor continuing to expand its community event offerings in future seasons and in the years to come?
I think in order for us to grow on these events, it's all about consistency, making sure that people come out, making sure that we are having the types of events and activities that interest our residents. And so we encourage people to come to our Parks and Recreation Commission meetings. Let us know what you want to see here, and we will do our best.
Well, I'm sure that there's going to be lots of fun in store throughout the coming weeks and throughout the rest of the year. And it's all thanks to the great people at Kego Harbor Parks and Rec. Julie, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
To look forward to in Kego Harbor. But that's going to do it for us today here on the Splash Live. Big thank you to all of our guests and for everybody on the Splash Live team for helping to make this show possible. I've been your host, Jake Schaff. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.